Shabbat Shalom. This week we read some of the most famous words in Torah, the ones that arguably got us started as a Jewish people. When God says to Avram and his wife Sarai, Lech lecha me'artzecha u'me'moladetcha u'mibeit avicha el ha'aretz asher areka, God says, Abraham, go forth from your land, from the place where you were born, from your father's house, unto this land that I will show you. And he goes, he and Sarai, on this journey, and it begins the epic story of our people that we read through Torah and through all our sacred texts. And it's that theme of being called to something that I want to lift up this Shabbat. I don't know how many of us feel like we move through the world like we are responding to a calling. And if you do, maybe it is the calling that's connected to a relationship, calling as a parent or a grandparent, or as a spouse or something like that. Maybe it's a calling around a profession, depending on what you do in the world, that you feel called to or drawn to doing something in the world. Perhaps that's something that's shared by doctors or teachers or rabbis or whoever that might be. Perhaps you feel a calling through your sense of volunteerism and how you give back to the community, or perhaps it's through your philanthropy. But either way, calling is a tricky kind of thing, because a calling is something that we imagine is not going to be something that's very loud, but a calling is something that comes like a quiet knock at the door. And the question that we have, the spiritual practice that we have to engage in, is one of being open to that possibility of a calling. That possibility that God is calling us to do something with our lives, to act in the world in some way, shape, or form, and that it is upon us not just to do the calling, but to have heard it in the first place. And in a world that it is very loud and where we are pulled in many different ways, it is often hard, perhaps, to hear the sound of that calling being drowned out by the outside world. But I hope that as we move out of the High Holy Days and into the year proper, that this is a year that we can start to hear what our calling is telling us, how we should be acting in the world, how we should be giving of ourselves, what ways can we put our values into practice, so that truly when we go into the world and we honor our relationships or we do our profession, we're doing so in a way that's in keeping with the highest values that we hold, that our tradition holds, and that the world needs us to uphold. I hope that's our blessing for this Shabbat and in our world moving forward. Take care of yourself and someone else too. Shabbat Shalom.